Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm kind of following a hero of mine and also someone that was highly helpful for me when I started my business, and that's Newt Collinson. I've been around, as I just said, since 1984. I came out of the large company business, working for a very large publisher for years, both as the head of research and then running a specific endemic title. We have, at my company, we wear a couple of hats. The first is sales. That's really 90% of our business. We handle the business for a whole lot of magazines. And we handle it exclusively, and we do it nationally for a number of large titles. And also we do a fair amount of consulting for companies with regards to revenue and revenue production. And that's what I do. This gives you kind of an example. A couple of things that are big highlights right now. I represent the National Guard Association. I have my client here. But we also represent the American Chemical Society, which is over 50 different brands, webinars, and it's one of the largest B2B title publishers in the nation. We were the original company for MSN, for Ancestry.com. We used to handle Simmons, Market Research Bureau, and so on. I think that I think that sometimes the magazine industry is magazine-centric as opposed to, when it comes to advertising, as opposed to reader-centric or audience-centric or also advertising-centric. I'm a former media director. I came out of the agency business. So I worked for 3 big New York agencies, and I kind of have a slightly different look at it. And the question I always ask is, what's the job to be done? But what's the job to be done for the media planner and for the audience? And I kind of back into that. And I think it's really important to understand what it is that the brand is trying to accomplish. Because when you have salespeople, if they don't understand what it is, they don't know how to accomplish what they have to accomplish. When I was young in the business, when I was working with Newt, we worked on Outdoor Life magazine together. One was magazine-centric. Now, you all know this because you're handling brands, but in the ad sales business, most of the people in the ad sales business that are, over 45 came out of the magazine business. And most of them are magazine-centric. They started with the magazine as the brand, and everything else was a line extension. That isn't true anymore. And I think I'm missing probably 50 things. Bo can tell me I'm missing a whole bunch of things on there, for sure. But okay. There's new stuff in there, programmatic and a bunch of things like that. Today, the interesting thing is that the brand can do the good news is the brand can do so many more jobs than the printed magazine could do alone. Disruption in one area does not mean that it kills the brand. And fluctuating ad pages isn't the end of the world either. On our large trade client, we had a big decline in our what I call horizontal magazine. But we were able to take all of those dollars and make it up on webinars and newsletters and ended up ahead of the game. So it doesn't have to be a disaster. The printed magazine may still be the face of the brand or not, but different media do different jobs for the reader and the publisher. I don't know how many of you are familiar with this study. The Elliott Company and Kantar Media, that's SRDS. We do a study. We are on our 3rd study, a study of media planners. It's quite extensive. We've done 2, and we've merged the results from both studies. Those of you that are actually in ad sales aren't going to be surprised by some of the results. It's about 75 pages, by the way. But here are some highlights for the discussion we're going to have in a few minutes. The first is that the average media planner works on $30 million of business. that they planned for in the last 12 months, 6 brands on 4 clients. When I was at Foot Cone and Belding, I worked on 3 brands, but I had an assistant media planner for every $1 million. 30 million, no assistant planner, just one human being. And to make things a lot worse, the average age is 24.9 years old. You caught that, right? 50% of all media plans, by the way, this is a projectable study. This was all the major US agencies this study happened. 2 years, we're now on our 3rd year. We're in the field now. 50% of all media plans are episodic. In my generation, when I was doing this, it was year-to-year planning. 50% of all media plans now. And I was talking to Newt about this last night, and I was bragging about, well, the average plan now is done under 5 days. 5 days, average media plan. So I was telling him this story about the length of one of my sellers in our New York office, right? And he took me out on this. He said, Jim, come on. He said, I got a better one than that. I have a deal where I got an RFP, one of his sellers got an RFP on Friday night, due the next day, Saturday morning. We see this all the time. With that backdrop, there is another thing that's really important. And what's really important is that it was as clear as the nose on your face that media people, and this, by the way, this study was both at clients and at agencies. So these were media departments at large clients like Lever Brothers, things like that, that they wanted one point of contact on the brand. They didn't want 4 people coming in from different parts of a particular brand. They wanted one. Crystal clear. If you want to read the study, it's on my site, or I'll give it to you later. So I take a look at this, and obviously magazines do different things for their readers. But I think the most important thing is the seller part of it. How do we have to look at the sellers that we're hiring and make sure that they know how to sell brands, that they know how to sell stuff quickly. And after this presentation that Professor Barron gave, the interesting thing is that I just said they were 24.9 years of age, which means that they basically just got out of Ole Miss or American University, right? So based on what you just said, how do we as media sellers sell to this generation? And that's the key question that in my company we're dealing with. What are some of the techniques that you reach 25-year-olds with? It isn't a media kit, 50 pages long and walk in and throw it on the desk. So with that said, I'm ready for, let's do the panel.